At exactly 2:13 a.m., the only sound outside the small downtown bank was the faint buzz of an old ATM machine glowing beneath a flickering streetlight, while cold rainwater slid across the empty pavement like silver snakes under the dark midnight sky. A hooded figure dressed completely in red stood motionless beside the ATM with both hands hidden inside his pockets, staring at the blinking screen as if he were waiting for something terrifying to happen. Without warning, the ATM suddenly made a loud metallic thunk, and bundles of fresh cash exploded from the dispenser slot, scattering across the wet sidewalk while the machine beeped violently. Across the street, a tired taxi driver sitting inside his parked cab dropped his coffee in shock as hundreds of dollar bills flew through the rain like green confetti under the streetlights. The mysterious man never touched the machine, never moved a muscle, and never looked surprised, which somehow made the entire scene even more terrifying to the people secretly watching from nearby windows. High above the street, an old CCTV camera rotated slowly toward the ATM while its grainy black and white footage captured the hooded stranger calmly turning his face toward the lens. Then, just as quickly as it started, the ATM stopped spitting out money, leaving the sidewalk covered in soaked cash while the machine's screen flashed the words, "System error." The hooded man slowly bent down, picked up a single-dollar bill from the ground, stared at it silently for a moment, and then let the rain carry it away into the storm drain. In the distance, faint police sirens echoed through the sleeping city, while the stranger calmly walked away from the ATM without taking a single bag of money with him. As thunder cracked across the sky, the CCTV footage suddenly glitched with static for 3 seconds before completely shutting off, erasing the final direction in which the mysterious hacker disappeared. By sunrise, news vans surrounded the downtown bank while reporters shouted into microphones about the strange ATM incident that had already gone viral across social media overnight. Inside the city's cybercrime division, Detective Ryan Carter replayed the CCTV footage frame by frame with exhausted eyes, unable to understand how an ATM could release cash without a card transaction. Beside him, cybersecurity analyst Mia Brooks zoomed into the footage and noticed that the hacker was wearing a tiny black earpiece connected to something hidden beneath his hoodie. Ryan leaned closer to the monitor and whispered nervously that whoever planned this attack knew exactly how to bypass the ATM's internal security system without triggering an alarm. Meanwhile, bank executives desperately denied any security weakness during live television interviews while secretly panicking inside conference rooms filled with lawyers and frightened employees. As investigators searched deeper into the ATM's software logs, they discovered encrypted commands had been remotely sent from multiple international servers only minutes before the incident began. Ryan realized the hacker was not some random criminal stealing cash for fun, but someone highly intelligent who understood the bank's outdated infrastructure better than the bank itself. Hours later, investigators discovered that a fake maintenance worker had visited the ATM exactly 3 days before the attack while wearing a believable company uniform and forged identification badge. Security footage showed the technician opening the ATM panel for only 90 seconds before leaving calmly, but hidden inside the machine was a tiny wireless transmitter smaller than a smartphone. The transmitter allowed someone nearby to communicate directly with the ATM's cash dispenser, bypassing transaction approval systems and forcing the machine to eject money on command. Late that evening, police traced unusual network activity to an abandoned warehouse near the industrial docks, where dozens of disconnected computers still glowed inside the dark building. Officers stormed through the warehouse with flashlights raised high while rain hammered the broken rooftop windows and computer fans hummed loudly in the darkness. Inside the warehouse, investigators discovered stacks of electronic equipment, fake bank documents, and large maps marked with ATM locations across the entire city. On a nearby monitor, a message suddenly appeared in red text saying, "You ignored the danger until the money disappeared." Ryan immediately realized this attack was not only about money because the hacker seemed desperate to expose how vulnerable the banking system had become. Then Mia uncovered a hidden employee file connected to the attack, revealing the name of a former cybersecurity engineer named Nathan Cole, who once worked for the same bank. Years earlier, Nathan had repeatedly warned executives that criminals could remotely exploit the bank's ATM network, but his reports were ignored to save money on security upgrades. After being publicly humiliated and eventually fired from the company, Nathan disappeared completely, leaving behind angry messages about corruption and corporate greed. Ryan finally understood that the hooded figure in red was not just robbing the bank, but trying to prove that the system protecting millions of people was dangerously broken. At the same moment, Nathan stood alone on the rooftop of an unfinished parking garage overlooking the city lights, while several heavy duffel bags filled with cash sat beside him. Rain poured over his red hoodie as he stared silently at the money, remembering the day his father lost everything because the bank ignored a major fraud warning years earlier. Suddenly, another man named Victor emerged from the shadows and greedily grabbed one of the cash bags while laughing about how rich they were about to become. Nathan angrily reminded Victor that the plan was only to expose the bank's security flaws before secretly returning the stolen money after making the attack public. Victor laughed coldly and admitted he never cared about exposing corruption because from the very beginning he only wanted millions of dollars for himself. As flashing police lights appeared below the parking garage, Victor suddenly pulled out a handgun and threatened to leave Nathan behind as the fall guy for the entire operation. Nathan stepped directly into Victor's path despite the weapon pointed at him, refusing to allow innocent people to suffer for a crime that had already gone too far. Police vehicles surrounded the garage entrance while armed officers rushed upstairs through the rain as helicopters circled loudly above the rooftop. Victor panicked and attempted to escape across the wet concrete floor, but he slipped violently near the edge of the rooftop and crashed hard onto the ground. Officers quickly tackled Victor and recovered the stolen cash while Nathan slowly removed his hood and quietly surrendered without resisting arrest. As dawn finally rose over the city skyline, every stolen dollar had been recovered. The hackers were arrested, and the blinking ATM stood silently beneath the fading storm like nothing had ever happened.